October 24th, the naval quarantine begins and successfully changes the course of many Soviet ships. So we want to surround Cuba, not let the Soviets come in, but we also want to cut off all trade relations with Cuba. And ironically right before Kennedy makes this decision, he has a unbelievable amount of Cuban cigars that arrive at the White House. October 25th, one Soviet ship gets up the nerve to actually challenge our naval quarantine, and so instead of shooting, Kennedy lets it go through. On October 25th, the same day at the UN, Adlai Stevenson directly challenges the Soviet ambassador to admit to the existence of missiles in Cuba. And when the ambassador refuses, Stevenson wills out the picture that I just showed you of the missile sites. On October 26th, Soviets raised the possibility for a deal. If we withdraw the missiles, America has to promise not to invade Cuba. And so that is the deal that the USSR puts at the table. A day later. Now, one thing I want you guys to realize, this is a period of a couple of weeks. This is day after day after day. This is not a long, drawn-out thing. On October 27th, the Soviets demand that the Americans also withdraw missiles from Turkey. Also on October 27th, the only man to die in the Cuban Missile Crisis, his U-2 plane is shot down. His name is Major Rudolph Rudy Anderson. He's from Greenville. He's a Clemson grad. He was flying over Cuba taking recon photos, and they shot him down with missiles. Kennedy tells Khrushchev that he will accept the proposal of the 26th. So what Kennedy says is, I'll accept that I'm not going to invade Cuba and you're going to withdraw your missiles. All the crap that you said on the 27th after you shut down our plane, no. Alright? And so Kennedy tells his brother, Robert, who is his Secretary of Defense, or Secretary of State, to tell the Soviet ambassador that the Turkey missiles would not be a part of the bargain. And on October 28th, the USSR agrees to withdraw its missiles from Cuba. Here's a picture of Rudy Anderson. Here's a picture of one of the spy planes, like what he would have flown over Cuba. Alright. So, what was motivating the Soviets? The Soviets needed to close this missile gap, alright? They wanted to protect Cuba. And they knew that the U.S. had missiles pointing at them, so let's see how the U.S. feels about it. Let's see how they feel with the guns pointed at them too. So here's a picture, I showed you all this in the last class. Here's a picture, now this is early 60s. The blue's the U.S., the red's the USSR. Early 60s, we got a ton more missiles than they've got. And they know this. And it scares them to death. Yes?
That's a different picture, because in the last picture, the 2005, we were higher than Soviets were.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Like, we were around 10,000, they were around 5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, about one pair. It is a different picture.
How did? If you guys remember this? No, I remember it. But how
Alright. So why did Khrushchev settle? Why did he say that we didn't have to pull out of Turkey? The naval quarantine around Cuba is really effective. Castro's sitting there going, hey, Khrushchev, we are going to starve if you don't do anything. Like, I'm going to lose, this is not going to work. He doesn't have anything else to do. He has no other options. All of his cards are already on the table.
Much rice down there,
The majority of the world supports us in the United States. Alright? And in reality, this is probably what he wanted all along. He just wanted a communist regime right at our front door that we had to look at, and we had to pay attention to, and we had to think about every single day. And so if you go down to Miami, you say the word Castro, say hey. There's a little Havana in Miami. It is a little tiny Cuba of people who have fled Castro to come over here for political freedom, for economic freedom. Still very real.
So what happens when Castro dies?
His brother's in charge.
Is his brother better than him? Is he like Fidel?
Yes.
Worse.
But
He's always been Fidel's right-hand man.
Wait, is Cuba still communist?
Yes.
we're trying to.
Only good commies are dead.
President Obama is of the theory that we've had this embargo against Cuba for the last, 50 years? And they're still communists, so maybe if we open up trade relations with them and they see how great capitalism is, they might turn around. Okay?
Hey, if it keeps doing the same thing.
Alright, so Kennedy is offered a couple of choices here. The first option is the airstrike. On October 17th, President Kennedy made a flat statement that there would definitely be an airstrike, at least against the missile sites, and perhaps against wider targets.
No, it's not Randy, there are people there.
Randy Moore. Reservations from others, they didn't really want to go in. His second option is a blockade, alright, to cut off trade with Cuba. And this is supported by his brother Robert. Alright. We'll come back to those. Collapse of the Soviet Union. Who won the Cold War?
Us.
We did. We did.
We're
Lost
the only
anything in the
one
line.
that
Not really.
It wasn't.
We
There
did
was no
because
winner.
US separated.
How did we win the Cold War? Did we go in there and we finally dropped the bomb?
No,
We
there was
should've.
no- There was no
No,
actual
we should've.
final, right?
We should have dropped all 35,000 of them.
No, because
All right.
they've done it anyway.
The reason why